Assassin's Creed is one of those projects that doesn't come along very often. Millions and millions and millions of people played this game, and I thought, well, there's got to be some great hook here that could be made into a movie.
When we first thought of the license, we had in mind at some point coming to the silver screen. So the way the franchise was built was meant to be easily transported to the cinema.
It was a big challenge because adaptation of video games into movie was not always a success. And the choices we have made as far as Michael Fassbender, as far as Marion Cotillard, of course, just encouraged all the director. Even if they didn't know the game at the beginning, they embraced the universe.
I wouldn't be doing the job if it wasn't for Michael. I mean, just come off the experience of Macbeth. Working with him as an actor, and I think both Michael and I just felt really keen to work together again. Michael said, have you heard about Assassin's Creed? And, you know, I've been involved in developing it for the last 3 years, and would you be interested in it? And I kind of thought, wow, to be able to do a film of this sort of scale and size about this sort of subject matter with an actor like Michael, who's also a producer in it, I just sort of didn't quite understand why I wouldn't. Michael started talking to me about the concept and the idea of people being sort of defined by the legacy of those that have come before them, and how we're kind of made up of the experiences of our ancestors. And I found that really interesting and thought it was quite a unique kind of cinematic idea.
You're living proof of the link between heredity and crime.
How did you find me?
We found Aguilar,
Who's Aguilar?
your ancestor.
And then it was only sort of after being seduced by that concept that I was kind of opened up to the world by Ubisoft, being taken through each of the games, being introduced to the people that originated the idea in the game, and also Jean Julien from Ubisoft. It was really their energy, you know, and passion in it too that also got me excited by it.
You're about to enter the Animus. Commence regression.
It was very important for us to find something original outside of the games in terms of the characters in our story piece and our regression, and really respecting the rules of the Animus and using that to its full potential.
The Animus in the game is a kind of chair that transports you back into the particular time. So it's kind of like, well, is that going to be cinematic and interesting enough to put on screen? And that's when we started playing around with the idea of virtual reality and maybe being influenced by virtual reality for the experience of the Animus.
We developed our own version of the Animus, which allows it to be more of an interactive experience for the person that is regressing, as opposed to just sort of lying in a chair.
He's synchronizing.
I was really intrigued, also how does Cal learn? And it's sort of aided in a way to be able to pull off all these sort of physical feats that his ancestors were able to do.
The idea for Cal was this concept of somebody who felt like that they didn't belong to anything. From the age of 8 onwards, he's familyless. And so the idea that we would have somebody who realizes that they have a very strong family, and a family that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years through this sort of lineage to the creed. And he would sort of become almost sort of reborn and realize that he does belong to something much greater than himself. Aguilar will teach Cal the ways of the creed, both in his experience in the regression and also what's happening to Cal and the bleeding effect.
And we really did focus on that idea of DNA and memory, and are you defined by the world that you kind of grow up in, whether violence is carried through you, through your ancestors, and whether that's something that is expressed through yourself and whether you can kind of control that.
The threat remains while free will exists. Isn't it time we gave science a try?
I love the idea that Templars were the sort of forefathers of science, and that their sort of whole concept and belief system is that the evolution of man is based on science, and to serve science, we serve the evolution of man.
You turn to violence. I turn to science.
So we wanted to have Marion's character, Sophie, very much steeped in that world. She's an absolute scientist, and she believes that science will lead us forward and draw us out of a lot of things that have remained since the beginning of time, which is primarily the aggressive nature of man.
Violence is a disease, like cancer. And like cancer, We hope to control it one day.
Sophia Ryken really wants to find this cure because she wants to improve the human race. Some of the Templars have a different goal, which is empowerment and control.
You interfered. Again.
When it first started, she wasn't called Sophie, I think she was called John. I think, it was a male character. And then we started to develop this relationship between Sophie and Rickon, and Sophie being the face of the Templars, and she believes that, humanity can, evolve into something, incredibly brilliant and sophisticated.
He has to go back in the Animus.
He needs more time before he goes in
We
again.
don't have time.
Rykin is the CEO of Abstergo Industries. What he's trying to get permission to do is to add a component into the pharmaceutical drugs to remove the violent gene in people. His Templar desire is to rid the world of the assassins.
If we eradicate free will, we eradicate the assassins. A cancer that has menaced society for centuries.
It's not my best work.
Of course, for a Templar, assassins are a lesser breed that should be exterminated if we were to live a more comfortable and civilized life.
Your recent work has confirmed our belief that mankind cannot be redeemed.
It's not sort of black and white and evil and good. It's really about two opposing ideologies. The Assassin's Creed, the tenets are all about the ability for human beings to make choices for themselves, that their instincts will guide them. And Templars believe that there is a sophisticated group that need to lead, that need to provide direction, and so they believe in control.
Assassins and Templars have been at war for centuries. I aim to change that.
We basically took something that is a very interesting universe and something that has been experienced in a gaming form, assassins and Templars battling since the dawn of time, and created a cinematic experience, and hopefully it'll bring a new perspective to the gamers that are already playing.
When I saw it, it felt real.
It was.
What is this?
You're about to enter the Animus. What you're about to see, hear, and feel are the memories of someone who's been dead for 500 years.
What do you want from me?
Your past.
The concept of assassins and Templars battling through the centuries just seemed like something that would lend itself very nicely to a cinematic experience.
The party's just getting started.